Welcome back into the Sean podcast. It is I, the Big Ush. It is he, the Cat Daddy. Back to put some more of that amateur knowledge into your eardrums. Cat Daddy, what's on your mind?
Hey, guess what just happened?
Oh, a lot of stuff.
Gabriel Davis just scored another touchdown.
There is that. There is that.
We saw a super divisional round of football, and man, I hope the NFL doesn't coin that because that's just my attempt to mock them for calling the wild card round super wild card when it wasn't super. But this, I thought, was a super weekend nonetheless. I mean, a lot of people are saying this is the single best weekend of football probably ever, and I don't think I can disagree because we saw all four games end on the very last play. Does it get any better than that? I mean, it could have, because
if our
Cowboys and Packers could be playing this weekend against one another, but we get to recap it all for you, and we've got the challenge of reviewing and giving you feedback in hopefully less than an hour on all these games and this excitement. It's going to be a challenge for us. We can do it though, right?
Yeah, we can do it easy. Yeah. All right, so going to start this off. We have two GMs hired. The New York Football Giants hired themselves a GM, and those Chicago Bears hired themselves a GM. But surprisingly, no head coaches have been hired yet. Supposedly, we have gone down the finalists, but I trust that as far as I can throw it.
Absolutely, and I'm expecting to see some coaching movement going on this week because we're thinking several high-profile coordinators just had their season end this past weekend with Green Bay. You're thinking Nathaniel Hackett, Luke Getsy, Tampa Bay with Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles, Buffalo with Brian Duvall and Leslie Frazier. I'm expecting to see some action before this week, and I'm just surprised we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, but how much recency bias are we going to get? Because people are going to see that recent performance by Green Bay, and they're going to be like, ooh, I don't know if I want to touch Nathaniel Hackett. They'll think of that last play in Tampa, like, I don't know if I want to touch Todd Bowles. I think that's complete nonsense. You have to take the whole and count that, but hey, who knows? Stranger things have happened.
Speaking of strange, Sean Payton stepped down as New Orleans head coach.
So we got a ninth team to look at.
Now, I'm happy for Sean Payton. I'm glad he was able to identify that he needed a break, and he was able to do it on his own terms.
Well, no. Is it that? Or is it he saw the writing on the wall with New Orleans? And is the rumor true what could be happening for Sean Payton?
And what rumor is that?
So there's a rumor. First, we have to look at a different rumor to get to the Sean Payton rumor. So
we have to look at a whole bunch of rumors.
Yes. There's a rumor that I'm not sure if it's Amazon or what, but there's a certain streaming network that wants to poach Troy Aikman. And apparently Fox wants Sean Payton. And if we've seen anything from, let's say, Tony Romo making $15 million a year to chill and just talk football, I mean, that's a little bit less stressful than dealing with cap situations every year.
Man, and just think Sean Payton's been New Orleans head coach for 16 years. Had that 1 year off for suspension, but really, he's been coaching nonstop for like 15 years. That's got to be an exhausting job. He's one of the longest tenured head coaches in football, and with being in New Orleans, he's gone through so much. I mean, there's the things like the bounty gate that he went through, but also what the city itself went through and what he's meant to the city and their recovery. So, man, would it be nice to be in a cushy commentator's booth talking about analyzing football.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'd enjoy it if it wasn't next to Joe Buck, but that being
We
said,
can't have everything, okay?
let's jump right into it. We're doing a little bit different format. We're gonna not do our position series after this. We're gonna sneak it in right here, real quick. So we'll get Sean starting off. Sean, your number 5 prospect from the summer, and who is it now? Because I don't think it's the same.
It is not in the summer as Owen Poe from Auburn, but now it is Chad Muma from Wyoming. I like him because he's got quickness, speed, he's always putting himself in position to make plays, good awareness, good vision. He may not be a complete 3-down linebacker like some of the other people that I'm going to be talking about a little bit later on, but he's good at wrapping up the ball carrier. He could be an effective blitzer. He's not the best in coverage, but I don't think he's going to be a liability there either. So, for those of you who are questioning his competition from the Mountain West, the Senior Bowl next week is going to be a huge opportunity for him to showcase his skills and his ability against higher level talent. So,
All right. So my number 5 in the summer was Nicolby Dean. My number 5 now is a different Georgia linebacker. I'll butcher his name, but it's Quay Walker, I think it is, or Quay Walker. That's it, Quay Walker. This guy, I mean, Nicolby Dean obviously is a guy who splashed, but this guy, I mean, he showed up as well. Very nice run and hit linebacker, can play in coverage. He in that national championship game, you saw him make a ton of plays. That's why Bama couldn't really do too much. These guys fly to the ball. All right, number 4 for you.
number 4, I had Brandon Smith from Penn State.
Disappointing season.
It was. But I have another Big Ten linebacker in his place, and that's Wisconsin's Leo Chanel. And I think that he is going to tear up the combine. He's going to shoot up draft boards the closer we get to April.
All
He's
right.
a leader. He's a big hitter. He's shown some good football IQ, tackling machine, and he can also put pressure on the quarterback. And that's what you want him doing. He didn't seem to do a whole lot in coverage situations, but he really wasn't asked to do a lot in coverage. So I'm not sure about those coverage skills, but tackling machine.
All right. So my next guy is, so in the summer, it was Devin Lloyd. We'll get to him later. And now it is Damon Clark out of LSU. Another one of these guys, got a lot of athleticism, run hit type guy, can be used kind of in coverage, but this guy's more of like you're gonna send him downhill, go after ball carriers, maybe do some blitzing, maybe do some of that hybrid stuff, play that joker role where he's gonna be possibly rushing the passer at times. This guy's got a lot of ability, but he's going to be a unique talent on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. He's not in my top 5, but he's my number 6. And there were some internal debates going on about who do I bump out of my top 5 to make room for him. So he was close for me. So I'm glad you have him on there.
All right, number 3.
And now's the point where I think we're going to have the same 3 people in the top 3.
Very possible.
I figured 4 and 5 would be different. Top 3, we're going to have the same people. I'm just curious if we're going to have them in the same order.
I think so. I do.
All right. In the summer.
Let's check your summer guy.
Yeah, in the summer, my number 3 guy was Edafwan Alafoshio from Washington. Unfortunately,
not that great of a season.
no, I know. He only played 6 games this season because of an injury, so he's returning for another year at Washington, so he didn't declare. So maybe I'll talk about him when we get to our 2023 linebackers.
Maybe not.
But my number 3 guy now is Christian Harris from Alabama. And during the summer, he was my number one linebacking prospect.
Hey, you letting the cat out of the bag already.
He was my number one during the summer. It wasn't as if he had played poorly this year and he fell due to poor play. I mean, he's a 3-year starter for Nick Saban's defense who got the opportunity in 2019, his freshman year, when Dylan Moses was lost for the season with a torn ACL. And I think sometimes his season was overshadowed by how well Will Anderson was playing and how well he was taking over for games.
Here's the thing. I don't think it was just Will Anderson, because you had Will Anderson, you had Henry Tuato, who I think is also returning.
Yep.
You had the defensive tackle who's in our top 5. You got too many guys there.
There was a lot of talent. That Alabama defense is so loaded that I think his productivity and what he could really showcase, I don't want to say was lost, because I don't think that's a good way to describe it, but I don't think we were able to get a good
that national championship game where,
I mean,
flying off the screen.
Good athlete for his size, which is going to help him stay on the field for all 3 downs. And, I mean, he plays physical in the run game. So.
All right, just to be transparent, my number 3 guy in the summer was Ventrell Miller out of Florida. And my number 3 guy right now is Christian Harris. So to keep it flowing along, we've already talked about Christian Harris a bit. My number 2 guy was Brandon Smith. And I was very high on him. He just, all the stuff you liked about him in the summer just did not show up this year for whatever reason. My number 2 guy now was on my list at 5, Nicolby Dean. I was worried about some of the size issues, but I mean, what he can do in coverage negates all of my worries there. He held up throughout the season. He was hitting fools too. This guy is a bona fide stud.
You know how we've been talking about a couple of these defensive position groups like edge and interior defensive line, and I keep saying like it's a 1A, 1B situation out of 1-2. I feel the same way about this linebacker group too, because Nicolby Dean and Devin Lloyd are so close for me. My 1B in this situation is Devin Lloyd. I love his play recognition. I love the instincts. Watching tape, he follows the play all the way across the field, whether it's his assignment or not. He's all over the place. He doesn't give up. He has the ability to stay on the field for all 3 downs, and you're going to feel comfortable with him on the field. He's not going to be a liability in blitzing, taking down the ball carrier in coverage. He's not a liability at all. He's really good in all 3 areas. And I think Devin Lloyd may be a slightly better pass rusher than Nicolby Dean.
Okay, with it, the main reason I have Devin Lloyd as my number 1, my number 1 in the summer was Christian Harris. Just to let you guys know, Sean's number 2 in the summer was Nicolby Dean. So if you guys are trying to keep score with us, yes, he had Nicolby Dean high enough, but only one of us had 3 of the top 3 in their top 5, where the other one had 2. So there is that. But with that said, my thing with Devin Lloyd is not poo-pooing on Utah's defense at all, but Nicolby Dean did play with a plethora of just bona fide utter studs, and especially at that defensive tackle position. It was a rarity that an offensive lineman would get to the second level and try to go after Dean. So I don't know. That's the real question mark about Dean, is like, can he shed blocks? How good is he at shedding blocks? Where Devin Lloyd, he had to do that. So he showed that he can do that type of thing. So I agree with you. Devin Lloyd's just a tick above Dean for me, though.
Yep, so Nicolby Dean, my number 1. There was Christian Harris back in the summer. And His athleticism is just off the charts. He's got the ability to be all over the field. He is going to be a three-down linebacker day one, just like Devin Lloyd is. He's a little bit smaller for a linebacker. He's on the smaller
Both of them
side.
are.
Yeah,
But
and
they're
I
the
think
new age
Nicolby Dean.
linebacker. They're the new age linebacker. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Lloyd's got about 10 pounds on Dean, but I think Dean can do it.
Oh, absolutely. He's got all the tools necessary for him to be successful, and I have him ranked above Devin Lloyd, at least for now,
We'll
because,
see what happens.
yeah, we still have another series to go through when it gets closer to the draft. But I thought Nicolby Dean rebounded really well during the playoffs after that rough SEC conference game against Alabama. And
Yes.
I loved the play recognition that he had.
All right. Now, going from there, we're going to jump right back into the NFL, and we're going to go with our super divisional round. And the first game we're going to talk about is the Bengals heading to the Titans. And this was a great defensive battle. There was some offense in here. I mean, Joe Burrow did throw for 348 yards, but there was a lot of defense in this game. I mean, the game ended 19-16 on the last second field goal. It was entertaining. There's fireworks, but this is my type of game. There's enough fireworks, but there's also enough defense. And I mean, since he pulled it out, I thought they could, and good for Cincy. That's their first ever playoff road win, ever in franchise history. Any thoughts on this one, Sean?
Like you were saying, I thought this was a really good defensive game between the two teams. I mean, both defenses came up with big plays, and I thought both did a really good job of reducing the big plays for the opposing offense. Cincinnati took down Tennessee's running game, which is really surprising for me since Larry Ogunjobi and Mike Daniels were out. And they really reduced the threat of play action pass, too, because they were shutting down the run game. I mean, they had given up 140 yards on the ground, 27 carries, which is a little bit over 5 yards per carry. I mean, that by itself isn't great, but when you remove that 45-yard run that Dante Foreman had in the third quarter, that means Cincinnati only gave up 95 yards on 26 carries. That's under 4 yards per carry. That's a lot better. Coming into the game, Tennessee had a huge advantage because Derrick Henry had the freshest legs of anybody in the playoffs, and Cincinnati pretty much shut him down 62 yards on 20 carries. Longest run was 9 yards. On the other side of the ball, Tennessee just opened up a case of ass on Joe Burrow all day long.
9 sacks.
They got to him 9 times. How many? I mean, we gotta look at stats, but how many times has a team racked up 9
defense.
sacks and still lost? Jeffrey Simmons had 3 of them. Cincinnati's offensive line is beginning to look like a liability for Joe Burrow, and they're gonna get him killed at some point. But speaking of defenses, turnovers were huge momentum changers in this game. Ryan Tannehill. Go ahead.
See, I don't think it was I think the offensive line needs to be upgraded, yes. But I also think Zach Taylor came out there and he's like, you know something, Joe? We're going all or nothing. You might die, but it's all or nothing. So we're going to call these plays and hang in there the best you can, bud.
Yep. Get that ball out as quick as possible.
But it wasn't. It was, we're going to go downfield, and if you can hang in there and then get that ball out when necessary, that's what we do.
Yeah.
All right. But yes, you're right. The turnovers were part of the tale here.
Yeah, the interceptions by Ryan Tannehill. I know that first one was definitely his fault when he did the play action. Didn't see Jesse Bates playing center field because he had his back turned, so that one's on him. The other 2 that he had were a result of tipped balls, so not much you could do on that one.
Yeah, but some of those, I mean, one of them, I think the receiver didn't have the best chance to get that ball.
Yeah, the last one where Logan Wilson came down with it, that one was kind of a little questionable, but I mean, what can he do about the one that Mike Hilton got? Because that was just
No, no.
fantastic reflexes to get to it.
I mean, that
But
all being said, Cincinnati does their job. They turn into, this team that, I mean, I thought they could be, but I thought they were still a year away from this team. You know what I'm saying? And I thought
yeah,
part of it was the offensive line. Ryan Tannehill looked like the quarterback I thought he was. This resurgence that he's had, I was, thinking good for him, but he turned into the guy that I thought he was.
it turned midnight and he turned back into a pumpkin. So,
But to move on from this one, we're going to go to one that you got a lot more to say about. I don't have too much to say about it. So we had the Niners going into Green Bay. There were some weather conditions. The Niners beat Green Bay on a last-second field goal, 13-10. My only takeaways before I let you get into it: one, I started thinking from watching this game that maybe I was a little too harsh on my Cowboys. I still think my Cowboys should have won this game, but I thought I might have been a little too harsh on them after watching this game because they really limited that Packers offense. And two, not to rile you up anymore, I know Aaron Rodgers owns the Bears, but there's a former Bear that seemingly owns Aaron Rodgers by the name of Robbie Gold. Go ahead, Sean. I think I have set the tone appropriately.
well, just sit back, relax, because this is going to take a while. So I told you last week that winning this game was going to be a tougher task than it was in week
It was.
3 when Green Bay won the last second field goal. And it was. And I know I mentioned last week that Green Bay's offensive line needs to be ready for that San Francisco front four, and they weren't.
Nope.
Um, the Packers are near and dear to my heart, but as a Packers fan, is to know heartache.
Oh,
It's
real
to
quick.
know,
Real
yeah,
quick, before you fully get into it, there's another takeaway that I found from this game. I think, something, I think Matt LaFleur is on to something. And there's a certain player that got injured in this game, and it, killed the game plan, in my opinion.
it did. Oh, it did.
But
Yeah.
you'll mention him, so
Yep.
go ahead.
Yep. Because the heartache is every year you know that the Packers have legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl. Not
Yes.
just reach the Super Bowl, but win it because you have Aaron Rodgers on your team, and you can never be counted out when you have Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the man can work miracles no matter the situation or how much time is remaining on the clock. But being a Packers fan also comes with the agonizing defeat and the gut-wrenching losses, whether destiny is on your side or not. And I know there are some people thinking, oh, you've been spoiled with great quarterback play for 30 years. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah. But I cannot and I will not apologize for Green Bay's ability to find the right person for the game's biggest position. I mean, let's be real. That can make or break a front office career. Can you find the right guy? And Green Bay has done that.
Just to piggyback that with you, here's the thing: we do say y'all have been spoiled, and it's true. Um, but let's be honest here, people. Brett Favre was on the Atlanta Falcons. He was drafted in the second round by Atlanta, and then traded to Green Bay. That's not Green Bay's fault. Atlanta was stupid. And it's also not Atlanta's fault that a ton of other teams were stupid. Pretty much every single one. And then Aaron Rodgers fell to, what was that, 21st?
24th or 25th,
Was
I
it
think.
24? Was it 20?
Yeah, he
The
fell.
24th overall pick. There are 23 other teams, including the San Francisco 49ers, who seemingly own Aaron Rodgers, but were dumb enough at that time to pass on Aaron Rodgers. So people, I mean, stop complaining, because all those teams past 24 had quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Go on.
There's some people out there thinking, oh, your team has made the playoffs 3 years in a row. At least your team had a chance. You should quit complaining. Okay, this is the NFL. Coaches and players get paid tens of millions of dollars to do what they do, to be excellent at what they do. There are no moral victories. There are no participation trophies or honorable mentions. This is the playoffs. It's win or go home. So I cannot and will not stop criticizing my team for failing to progress in the playoffs. And I think Joe Burrow said it best last week after Cincinnati's first playoff win in 31 years. This is the standard. Reaching the playoffs, winning in the wild card weekend is the bare minimum every year moving forward. So I am not going to get stuck in mediocrity of my team.
With that said, people, don't get it twisted. Packer fans are happy to be Packer fans. They very much so are. But just like Dallas fans, just like I'm sure Bucks fans right now, just like Patriot fans, they expect more out of their team, especially. See, it'd be different if the Packers looked like they gave their all in this game. But just like the Cowboys last week, it didn't look like that. You had situations where I don't know what was going on with Rodgers, but he's targeting Devontae Adams in double coverage when Alan Lazard is wide open. And the play is meant to go to Alan Lazard.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing you can say to that. That's your superstar quarterback just not doing what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, in previous years, I think in Green Bay has lost in the playoffs because 2019, they did a good job of stopping Jimmy Garoppolo from passing the ball, but they let Raheem Mostert run wild for 220 and 4 touchdowns.
But don't even get into the Colin ones. Don't even get into those.
Oh, no, I'm just speaking like just recently, like the Matt LaFleur era. Last year's championship game, the defense was exploited, but the offensive play calling and overall play was a big reason for the loss. Offensive line really wasn't playing as well as they should have. And then you have this year. And this year, I thought the defense had played excellent in this game.
Fantastic.
Joe Barry, what he's done with this unit is fantastic. For me, they get the game ball, especially Rashawn Gary. He played so well in this game, creating 6 pressures. I think he had, 2 sacks. He came up with 4 stops. The defense played as well as you could have asked them to play. They limited San Francisco to 106 yards passing. They forced Jimmy Garoppolo into several bad throws, one of which was intercepted. They allowed 106 rushing yards against the San Francisco attack. And let me tell you, San Francisco had to fight for every inch they got in this game. And the longest carry the Green Bay gave up was only 13 yards. The only thing that the defense could have done better is if it had intercepted more than one Jimmy Garoppolo pass, because there were at least one that they could have taken back for a pick 6 if they got their hands on it. But I'm not faulting them for that. Now, the offense was a mixed bag. They got off to a hot start. Their first scoring drive was a good 10-play drive, mix of running and passing. They ate up 5 minutes off the clock, but it went downhill after that. And it's not my attempt to be an Aaron Rodgers apologist, and I know that Aaron Rodgers is not without blame, but all the people saying that he choked in this game must not have been watching the same game that I was.
Hey, you heard me with Dak also. So...
Yeah, because, right, Green Bay, the first drive, touchdown, boom. Second drive, they're marching downfield, they're getting ready to go for a touchdown. I don't remember Aaron Rodgers fumbling that ball. I'm pretty sure that was Mercedes Lewis who fumbled that ball.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
At the end of the first half, when Green Bay is putting together that scoring drive in the final minute,
here's my problem.
I don't think it was Aaron Rodgers who failed to block Jimmy Ward.
I'm going to stop you for a second. Here's the thing: Aaron Rodgers aside, it wasn't Aaron Rodgers' fault. He made mistakes, but it wasn't his fault. Just like it wasn't Dak's fault. You know who I'm ultimately blaming for this loss, personally?
Oh, I know who I'm blaming, and I got them coming up.
I know, but because of them, I'm actually blaming your coach of the year.
Well, my coach of the year is Mike Vrabel. And my number two would have been Matt
yeah,
LaFleur.
you switched it up.
I
You
did.
switched
I
it up.
did.
You're
Matt
number two
LaFleur,
coach.
he's on my list too.
Because
He's there on that list.
No, the fact that you knew because they talked the whole game. That's all I heard the whole game. It's not Matt LaFleur doesn't want special teams to kill him. He doesn't want special teams to kill him. You knew they were a liability, bud.
Yep. Yep. I mean, let me finish with Aaron Rodgers real quick. So, Aaron Rodgers, I don't think was the biggest culprit in this loss. I know there's a couple passes that Aaron Rodgers wishes he had back. Like that final pass in the fourth quarter where he threw a ball into double coverage to Davante Adams instead of hitting Alan Lazard underneath. But let's face it, Aaron Rodgers only trusts one wide receiver.
That's a problem.
And he has now where that problem stems from could be a whole other episode because you already know how I feel about the front office and what they've done in the wide receiver room. But
let's just be honest though, Alan Lazard for the past 4 or 5 weeks has proven himself. You can't deny that.
I can say that he's Green Bay's number 2 wide receiver, but when you have the game on the line, Aaron Rodgers only had eyes for Davante Adams, and maybe that's Rodgers' fault. But for Rodgers, trust of his wide receivers is something that's been big across the years, which is why we really didn't see Amari Rodgers in the lineup at all, even though Green Bay had drafted him in the 3rd round. He didn't build up that trust. The same reason that the 4th, 5th, 6th round wide receiver that Green Bay drafted years ago all not failed, but they really didn't progress as well.
Where was the receiver that he did trust in Randall Cobb? Where was he?
He had 1 target, and it was a bad target. I mean, it was toward the end of the game.
Thank you.
Yeah, hold on. It was toward the end of the game when Lambeau Field was turning into a snow globe and the field was icing over. Nobody could have footing. Randall Cobb didn't run the best or the cleanest route, so where's Aaron Rodgers supposed to throw the ball when he doesn't know where the route's going to finish?
I'm just saying, earlier in this game, when you're targeting Davante Adams, it's Davante Adams or the tight ends.
Well, the tight ends played like garbage.
Yeah, but that's all he targets.
Dropped
Davante Adams and tight ends and running backs.
Josiah DeGuara had 1 target, which that was a costly drop that he had, and it's never a good sign when you're throwing 2 times to Dominique Daphne consecutive plays. That's never a good sign. Right. But moving on.
We're getting in the weeds.
Yeah. Matt LaFleur deserves some of this blame too because I didn't think that he made any successful adjustments as the game progressed. It seemed like his play calling got a little bit more conservative, and it may have been because Green Bay's offensive line wasn't playing as well, and he knew that they wouldn't be able to hold up against that front 4. And then you have A.J. Dillon go down with the injury. Now, A.J. Dillon, I think, was a huge loss because A.J. Dillon was a player they drafted in the 2nd round last year because they said he's built for games like this. Cold weather, winter games in Green Bay when it's below 0, when it's snowing. Give him the ball, he'll crush through people, which is great in theory, and he looked really good in that first drive. But they didn't have the chance to use him because he was out with that injury. I think it was a broken or a fractured rib that he had suffered.
Yeah, he looks like an Eddie Lacy without body fat. If you know, you know.
You know. He's like Eddie Lacy, put down the cheeseburger. Yes. But I think that hurt Green Bay because now they had Aaron Rodgers start shouldering the rushing load when I don't think that was part of the game plan. He's that receiving back. He's a little bit more dynamic. You use him that way. And by putting him in a running role, I think it lessened the effect of the play-action pass because I don't think I saw too many play-action calls. And then that leads me to the offensive line. Rodgers had a hard time getting the offense moving because the offensive line gave what I thought was one of the worst performances of the year. They were overmatched. They couldn't hold up in pass protection. And I get that Rodgers had a couple of bad throws, but some of that he'd like back. You're thinking that front four from San Francisco is crushing down on you. That's ruining his timing. That's disrupting his spots. I mean, how many times did San Francisco force him to move around in the pockets and really just take that spot? The front four generated 11 pressures on Aaron Rodgers. The front four by themselves. Joey Bosa, Eric Armstead were just killing the left side of the line. But I'm going to move on because I think I'm done talking about offense. Now on to special teams. And I'm going to keep this clean for the wholesome people who are watching and listening.
And your mom.
But yeah, she's included in that group. But the special teams unit was a cataclysmic failure of epic proportions. And I still believe that's an understatement. It was the team's weakness coming into the playoffs, and it was so bad that before the game, Matt LaFleur said, "I just hope our special teams doesn't screw up."
If you know this,
and the special teams unit was like, "Whoa, hold my beer because here we go." End of the first half, they have
Mason Crosby.
Mason Crosby got his field goal blocked. Now it wasn't because Crosby had kicked it low or poor. Nobody decided they wanted to stop the guy rushing from the outside, Jimmy Ward. Go Huskies. And that could have been an extra. I gotta give him a shout out for that. But that could have been an extra 3 points for Green Bay. They could have gone into halftime up 10-0 instead of 7-0. Then, beginning in the second half, opening kickoff, Deebo Samuel returns at 45 yards.
Yep.
You're giving up 45 yards. That allowed San Francisco to get in field goal range to reduce the lead 7-3.
And then there's that guy that, you know.
And then near the end of the fourth quarter, you have a 10-3 lead still. You're punting from just in front of your own end zone, and the punt gets blocked. San Francisco scoops and scores. Now it's a 10-10 game. And then, to add insult to injury, during the 49ers' game-winning field goal attempt, the Packers only had 10 defenders on the field. Not that it would have made a difference, but still, mistake after mistake after mistake. Now, coming into the season, special teams coordinator Maurice Drayton had been promoted to that role. He took over a bad unit, but it became it became league worst under his watch. I wouldn't be surprised if he got future endeavored in the next week or so.
Here's what I'll say for the Packers. And we're going to move on actually very soon, Sean. This is the last note here. You got a good team. Try to get Aaron Rodgers back. If you can't, then you're going to have to improve this special teams. There is a guy.
Whoa. You said if we don't get Aaron Rodgers back, we have to improve special teams. If we don't get Aaron Rodgers back, we got more problems in special teams.
Yeah. But there's this guy out in Las Vegas who may not be coaching in Las Vegas next year. Do everything, move heaven and earth to get Rich Bisaccia to be your special teams coach. The dude is amazing at that job. But
I got one more.
Packers.
We got one more note for the Packers. Okay. Maybe 1.5. All right, maybe 1.5. I don't know why Aaron Rodgers is taking so much heat and so much criticism for this loss. I mean, in a way, I do because
it's politics. I can tell you that it's all politics.
He's the face of the franchise, his stance on things like vaccination that people just spew hatred at.
It has nothing to do with football. It has everything to do with everything outside of football.
Yep. So now I need to buy Madden 22 so I can correct this atrocity and get the Lombardi Trophy back to Green Bay where it belongs. And now the big question is, what happens with Aaron Rodgers going forward? And I think we could have a
We're
whole
going to talk
other
about that
episode
later.
on that.
We're going to talk about that later.
Yeah.
But don't drop bombs right now.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to the Rams and the Bucks. And all I gotta say about this game, well, I got a couple things, but the main thing I gotta say about this game is the Rams really likes to not win games. They really like just to, get up with a lead and then be like, we got this one. Let's just chill out. I'll say this also. Brady, on the flip side, Brady was bad until what? The fourth quarter?
Until Los Angeles took its foot off the pedal.
But he was bad until, let's say, when all of a sudden the Bucks defense started getting turnovers. They had 3 fumbles in this game, 2 in the fourth quarter, 2 by your boy Cam Akers. I'm sorry, but he need to go talk to Tiki Barber.
He does, but Cooper Kupp was the one that was more surprising.
It was surprising, yes. But I'm just saying, Cam Akers had 2. One, which was worse, because it was literally driving in at the end of the first half for the dagger. But, that being said, Mike Evans bailed Tom Brady out.
Jalen Ramsey helped him. He got the assist from Jalen Ramsey. He was like, maybe I'll play this, maybe I won't.
Now, that all being said, the Rams did win, so thank you, Rams, for that. And that's all I have for this. No. My last thing is Todd Bowles should be blamed for his final, play, his final, call. But at the same time, Winfield, what are you doing? Play deep. I'm sorry, Antoine Winfield, how did you just let Cooper Kupp just run by you? You are a safety. You see him running at you, run back.
Yeah, you're thinking, at least I'm thinking, after the game's on Saturday, I'm thinking, how can Sunday top what Saturday gave us? And all that wildness, all that craziness just carried right over. Matthew Stafford didn't have to wait very long to get his second postseason victory. And this game, that final throw, that 44-yarder that set up the game-winning field goal, where Tampa Bay sent the blitz 0 on, this play is why Los Angeles traded for Matthew Stafford. Because if that were Jared Goff,
he wouldn't have made it out.
Jared Goff is either getting killed or that ball's falling incomplete. I don't think Jared Goff stands in there and delivers the same pass.
All right, we're running a little bit long, so we got to go quickly on the best game of the week. So the next game, the Bills went into Kansas City, and we had a game. Early on, it was a bit of a chess match, testing each other out, some scoring here and there. Come that fourth quarter, the way these offenses played, them defenses was gassed, and those offensive went off. And I hate the line, but I gotta say it. With 13 seconds left, Patrick Mahomes coming in, Andy Reid said, when it gets grim, be the Grim Reaper. And I don't even know what happened here. There's a couple things here. First, Buffalo. It's called a pooch kick or squib kick. Learn it. You could have taken 3 to 5 seconds off the clock.
More.
Two. I get the first play where you were just trying to keep Tyreek Hill in front of you. That's smart. The second play, how in the world do you allow Kelsey to get 25 yards? I'm sorry. Why are you rushing 4? Tony Romo was right. I have no clue what you guys were doing there. And then yes, in overtime, you knew nobody was stopping them. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I think for this postseason, the teams that lost, they're going to have that one play that just haunts them for at least the offseason and maybe further into the future. For Tampa Bay, it's going to be sending the 0 blitz. For Buffalo, it's going to be the kickoff versus do you do a squib, do you do a pooch? For Tennessee, it's either the 2-point conversion attempt early in the game, or it's choosing to throw with Ryan Tannehill on third down when you're getting the field goal range. And for Green Bay, it's going to be Rodgers attempting to pass to Devontae instead of Allen Lazard. This was the game that kept on giving, though. They gave us a total of 78 points, so I hope you smashed the over on it.
And went into overtime.
And they gave us 34 points between fourth quarter and overtime. The final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter had 25 points scored, 3 lead changes, and then a game-tying field goal.
And everybody's talking about quarterback play in this one. And yes, the quarterback play was fantastic.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give it up to the coordinators. They got players open. They allowed their playmakers to make plays. And this is the stuff that we didn't see in these other games. Green Bay did not fashion easy plays for Aaron Rodgers.
Green Bay doesn't have the weapons that the other teams do.
Dallas Cowboys did not do it for Dak Prescott. You could say Tennessee did, but they just were outmatched. I think Tennessee's problem also, maybe they ran the ball too much. You could say Tampa Bay did not make easy plays for Tom Brady, and that was the creativity of the offenses. The offenses that were more creative are the ones that won this week.
Where's all the talk about Tom Brady and choking? Because if I'm looking at Brady and Rodgers, they both had home field advantage. They were both working with limited weapons.
Brady's got
they were both missing their best offensive linemen. They were both going against
Brady's
the red-hot NFC West
and
defense.
Aaron Rodgers is the villain.
They both played poorly, and they both lost on a last-second field goal that was completely out of their control, yet Aaron Rodgers receives the choke criticism, and Tom Brady's the darling. I don't get it.
Hey, I've been saying it for years. All right, moving on. We're going to go quickly here to the championship weekend. We have the Bengals traveling to KC. That's the early game. Tony Romo and Jim Nantz most likely. I see it CBS. I still want the Bengals to win this. I know they beat Kansas City earlier in the year. I just don't see it happening. I just don't.
Go ahead and give your other one. I'm gonna do mine back to back.
All right, then we have the Niners traveling to the Rams, or LA, to face the Rams. This one's gonna be Troy Aikman, Joe Buck. Again, same concept. I want the Rams to win. I think the Rams will win. I think this is a tale of two teams that got beat by the other teams late in the year, and I think these other teams are going to come out hair on fire, kind of mad, and make it happen.
I think there are only two good matchups for the Super Bowl. It's either got to be a rematch of Super Bowl 23 with Cincinnati versus San Francisco, or it needs to be that offensive battle that we've been waiting for since 2018, when Kansas City and the Rams just lit up the scoreboard. For the AFC, we expected to see Patrick Mahomes rip apart the Steelers' defense, and while I picked Kansas City to beat Buffalo last week, I didn't expect that level of offense production from Pat Mahomes. Cincinnati's defense has been playing well, but I don't think it's been playing as well as Buffalo's defense had been. And while the Kansas City defense has been playing worse, that's good news for Joe Burrow, right?
Yeah.
And if we get anything short of Kansas City Buffalo, what they gave us, I think it's going to be a huge disappointment. But I think Kansas City is going to make its third consecutive Super Bowl appearance. But by doing that, I think we're also going to see more of Jackson Mahomes, which I'm not terribly excited about, but I'm still picking Kansas City. And on the NFC side, Matthew Stafford enters the playoffs with 0 wins, and now he's on the verge of a Super Bowl appearance, and the only thing standing in his way are the 49ers. And I just want the 49ers to lose because they just beat my team, they just beat your team, but at the same time, I kind of want San Francisco to win so other other critics, other fans can see just how well the San Francisco defense is playing. And then it wasn't a choke job from Aaron Rodgers, but regardless of who wins this game, one thing is for sure, that the team that represents the NFC is going to have a clear home field advantage since the game's being played in Los Angeles. But we've already seen that home field advantage doesn't matter. But I'm still going to pick the Rams in this one because I want to see a chocolate cake versus Campbell's Soup Super Bowl. I want to see Andy Reid, Sean McVay. And that's what I want to see.
All right. That's all she wrote for this week, folks. No words of wisdom this week. We just getting out of here, running out of it.
I got words of wisdom.
Oh.
Really quick.
Quick, bud.
Really quick. All right. If you have a friend or a loved one who's a Packers fan, you need to check on them right now. They are not okay.
Stop it.
They
Stop
are
it.
not okay.
Get out of here.
Fine, I'm out of here.
Get some mental toughness.